We open our series today with our primary verse. Let's read. I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well. Psalms 139, verse 14. Understanding the inner milieu, or the inner environment of our physical bodies, will give you greater and much needed awareness of what it takes to keep them healthy and strong. I hope you are not only enjoying this series on water, but I hope you are learning a lot and that it is helpful information for you. Since water is the second most important element for our body's health, it is critical that we understand it. It is a big topic with lots of questions, so it is my goal to provide you with as much information about water as I can. I will briefly touch on two other types here, but share in the next video some pros and cons. But for today's topics, what is hydrogen water? Have you heard of it? How does it benefit us? Hydrogen technology is relatively new and is the fountain of youth a real thing? Introduce to you Robert Scott Bell. In broadcast media since 1999, he has been involved in American Academy of Clinical Homeopathy since 1994 and served on the board of the American Association of Homeopathic Pharmacists from 1999 to 2001. Currently serving on the board for Trinity School of Natural Health and United Precious Metals Association. Robert Scott Bell is a homeopathic practitioner, an author, and an expert in silver and copper therapeutics. Robert reversed numerous chronic diseases nearly 30 years ago via homeopathy, herbal medicine, organic whole foods, minerals, essential fats, and the transformational power of belief in the Holy Spirit, which is a very important part of healing. So please welcome Robert Scott Bell.
Hydrogen is the first element on the periodic table of elements. It's the lightest, smallest, and it can go everywhere and anywhere. But what is it functionally in the body? Of course, H2O, 2 hydrogen, and oxygen make up the water. Through an electrolytic process, you can actually reduce the water and reveal the hydrogen to the body in a bioavailable, if you will, form. And what it does is quite fantastic because it is considered the ultimate antioxidant in that it can take apart, if you will, or let's say put back together that which is very damaging to the cell, these things known as hydroxyl radicals, the OH. And by having the hydrogen available to that in the cell, they can combine and convert from a dangerous substance to a harmless water that is floated out of the body. So it's a beautiful starting point to engage what we know of normal metabolic processes of excretion, of dealing with metabolic waste, things that would be inflammatory if left in the cells unchecked. And hydrogen via water can be released and made accessible to the cells deep in the body, anywhere in the body, and in that way reduce a lot of the oxidative stress or damage or inflammatory cascades that many people are stuck in. So hydration is critical for all of us, yet we don't realize how much we rely upon hydrogen as an element because most people are not on a clean, organic, raw food type diet. Very little bit of their diet is made up of that. the fiber that is found in raw vegetation, for instance, in a healthy gut microbiome would feed the bacteria in such a way that that bacteria interacting with that whole unprocessed raw organic food would produce copious amounts of hydrogen made available to the rest of the body and cells. So we have to heal the body and get people back to a state where they can actually do that from their food. We can't wait for that. We all need to drink water. So if we can release the hydrogen from the water, we can facilitate powerful, optimal metabolic function restoration, and then continue to work to heal the gut so that it can do what it's designed to do in interacting with real food. But the water is a key way to get there right away, immediately. The technology to produce hydrogen water has been around for many decades. In Asia, they have these machines that are utilized, and they're considered medicinal, if you will. The machines are medical devices. But much of the hype surrounding this type of water has been focused on alkalinity, the ability to change the pH, to split the stream so you have an alkaline stream and an acid stream. But the reality is the benefit was not due to its pH, but due to the hydrogen that would be released in typically the alkaline stream. Now we can produce that water in a pH neutral form, so we don't have to split and waste the water that you can't use. So in this way, the hydrogen has been known, and there are hundreds of scientific articles, peer-reviewed articles on animal and human models in terms of disease processes in the body that can be corrected via introduction of hydrogen in a bioavailable form.
Gary Brecka, known as the human biologist and biohacker, dives into a unique health experience that blends cutting-edge science with actionable wellness strategies. He pursues the achievement of optimal wellness through science-backed solutions. Here is Gary's research on hydrogen water.
Hey guys, I want to talk about some awesome research that I've been studying on the effects of hydrogen-rich water on the human body, how it can reduce inflammation, how it can lengthen telomeres, how it can improve muscle function, brain function, short-term recall, memory, sleep, and other markers of aging and general markers of inflammation. I want to take a deep dive into the science right now, so let's get to work. This is absolutely one of my favorite topics and one I get a lot of flack for all the time. So I want to take a little deep dive into hydrogen water and hydrogen gas in general and some of the benefits in the human body. First of all, hydrogen is the lightest element on Earth. It's actually the most abundant element in the entire universe. So hydrogen is everywhere. It's very tiny, it's very light, and it has some really, really unique properties. One of them is its property to act like an antioxidant. One of it is the property to actually reduce inflammation. And I want to talk a little bit about the science of that, but particularly today, one of the reasons why I'm really advocating for hydrogen water and putting hydrogen tablets in your water so you can get them to effervesce into clean hydrogen gas that you can drink is because today's topic is about the microvasculature system. So many of us don't realize that when we look at our vascular system, we have arteries and we have veins, but believe it or not, more than 70% of our circulation is actually not conducted by the heart. The 30% of our circulation that is done by the heart are our major arteries and our major veins, meaning there's pressure behind them to send blood to the tissues, there's pressure to return it from the tissues. But about 70% of our circulatory system is what we call microvascular. It's tiny little capillaries. Remember, these capillaries, this microvasculature is so tiny, smaller sometimes than a human hair, that even only a single cell can fit into this capillary system and sometimes exchange gas with the lung or deliver gases to tissue, remove gases from the tissue. So think about 70% of your circulation. What if this part of our circulation gets compromised? Think about how little vasoconstriction it would take in 70% of your vascular system to back pressure up into the system. So this is one of the reasons why we're so sensitive to high levels of homocysteine, a natural amino acid that can rise in the blood, potentially cause vasoconstriction, and drive pressure up. It's also why this part of our vascular system is hard to reach, and it's also why this part of our vascular system is so susceptible to inflammation. So when we look at the evidence on hydrogen water, because there are a lot of pundits out there saying that hydrogen gas in water has no effects in the human body. Nothing could be further from the truth. You can go to hydrogenstudies.com. There are about 1,335 published studies on there. Not all of them are on hydrogen water. Some of them are on hydrogen gas. Some are in animals and not in humans. But you can actually deselect to get to the human studies, and you can look at the difference between hydrogen inhalation, which is a well-known therapy for reducing inflammation. And you can look at putting hydrogen gas into the water to also have all the physiologic effects. One of the studies was so interesting to me, I wanted to talk about it today because it was published in the Journal of Experimental Gerontology. And this was published in November of 2021. This is a summary of it. I'm going to take you to the study itself. But it said that hydrogen gas, and this was people that actually drank hydrogen gas-infused water. It was a 6-month study. It was double-blind, peer-reviewed. It was an excellent clinical trial. It was randomized, and it even had a control group, a placebo group. And so what they did was they took 70-year-old or older men and women, divided them into groups where one group drank hydrogen gas-infused water, the other did not, and they measured all kinds of physiologic biomarkers. They used something called TET2, which is methylation activity in their bodies. They actually measured certain compounds in the frontal lobe of the brain. They measured their sit-stand ratio. They actually measured their sleep, their cognitive function, their short-term recall, and several markers of inflammation. I'm going to read the summary first. Hydrogen has demonstrated significant anti-inflammatory properties, suggesting its potential as a therapeutic agent for age-related inflammatory conditions. Inflammation is the root of all evil. We know that. So with studies showing that hydrogen inhalation or consumption of hydrogen-rich water can mitigate inflammation by downregulating pro-inflammatory cytokines, these are inflammatory factors that are in our blood, and protecting against oxidative stress in aging models. Here were the key points from the study, and then I'm going to take you to the actual study. It was believed to exert its anti-inflammatory effect by selectively scavenging harmful reactive oxygen species. So remember, when something is an antioxidant, it reduces inflammation. When something causes oxidation, it is causing inflammation, and this can be reduced by putting the two together to neutralize that inflammatory cascade. Studies have explored the use of hydrogen in various age-related inflammatory conditions like osteoarthritis, neurodegenerative diseases, and sepsis, where it may help alleviate tissue damage and improve functional outcomes. Why would hydrogen be so good at getting to tissues and improving inflammatory-related conditions in the tissues, like peripheral neuropathy, like poor circulation? Because that is microvascular circulation. This very light, very tiny element crosses the blood-brain barrier very easily, and it is also considered harmless to human beings. I mean, the vast majority of us by weight are water, and hydrogen makes up the majority of water, hydrogen gas. Hydrogen can be administered through inhalation of hydrogen gas, drinking hydrogen-rich water, or via intravenous infusion of hydrogen-saturated saline. That's not what we're talking about today. We're talking specifically about this study in the Journal of Experimental Gerontology. And what was really fascinating about this was that the outcomes in this study, and I'm going to show you a separate one now, benefits of hydrogen water. I'm going to link this study as well. Extra Healthy or a Hoax? This was a systemic review of different mechanisms of getting hydrogen gas or hydrogen water into the body. It's been shown to be beneficial in mitigating oxidative stress-induced damage through its anti-inflammatory and anti-apoptotic pathways. And they conducted a systemic review, and they looked at a number of articles. Total of 25 articles were included in the systemic review. So let's go down and see what it concluded. So we're in the conclusion section. It said that it was found that drinking hydrogen-rich water for 6 months, this was in the 70-year and older group, that drinking hydrogen-rich water for 6 months was harmless and also had a favorable effect on many of the factors associated with aging. Factors like pain, metabolic processes in the brain, strength in the lower extremities, and several other factors. So reducing inflammatory factors, improving strength, lengthening telomeres, which is one of the hallmarks of aging, improving different pathways that they were measuring in the brain, improving methylation. They used a TET2 marker to actually measure methylation. And so you can get these. I used to get a lot of flack for promoting these hydrogen bottles, which I'm still a big fan of, but they're $250 to $300. You can get compressed magnesium, elemental magnesium tablets, which are called H2 tabs, which is what I take every day. Get high part per million hydrogen water for less than $1 a day. I use these guys. They're called H2 tabs. You can get them at drinkh2tab.com. It's just drinkh2tab.com. They're less than $1 a day. You drop these in water. It effervesces into high part per million hydrogen gas, and you can get all of the benefits of hydrogen gas in a single pressed elemental magnesium tablet. They're super easy to travel with. It has probably become my favorite and #1 health hack because I think everybody can benefit from hydrogen-rich water. It's gained worldwide attention over the last few years for its potential health benefits. I'm gonna link this article. The one that I really wanted to highlight was this study that I was referencing that was published in the Journal of Experimental Gerontology. It was published in November of 2021. It was a 6-month hydrogen-rich study where they took molecular hydrogen and they measured phenotypic biomarkers of aging in older adults, 70 years and older. The reason why I like this randomized controlled pilot trial is because the majority of this research is done in young athletes that have ankle injuries, for example, and they compared soaking the ankle in hydrogen-rich water to the RICE protocol, rest, ice, compress, and elevate. So they compared that to actually hydrogen soaking, and hydrogen improved these outcomes because hydrogen didn't constrict the blood vessels and stop the site of injury from removing inflammatory factors and stop it from allowing fresh blood flow. It actually improved the blood flow, especially in the microvasculature, so you actually had accelerated healing. They did the same thing putting hydrogen tablets in the buccal fold of athletes after concussions. And they looked at how they behaved and how they recovered from concussion scores. And they found that actually hydrogen helped improve the post-concussion recovery phase. All of this is related to inflammation, very likely related to the circulation in the microvasculature. This is very real science. Hydrogen gas has tremendously positive benefits in the human body. When we look at the abstract here and we look at how well this study was run, and we look at what happened in the baseline control model that was only drinking water versus the ones that had hydrogen-rich water, methylation increased in the hydrogen-rich water group. Hydrogen-rich water was superior to control water to increase brain choline and NAA levels in the left frontal gray matter, significantly improved chair stand performance after hydrogen-rich water intervention compared to the control group. It reduced other inflammatory markers. You can actually see the exact blood biomarkers that they measured: homocysteine, resting blood pressure, body composition, facial skin features, sleep outcomes, and health-related quality of life, all improved by drinking hydrogen-rich water. So this is not a sales pitch. This is real sound science. A lot of people that haven't read the science, I think there's 2 types of people out there, those that have read the science, that are taking hydrogen-rich water, and those that are just unaware of it. I think this is the easiest and least expensive hack that you can add to your daily routine. It's less than $1 a day. You can get these hydrogen tablets and you drop them into water. It effervesces into the pure gas, and you can actually turn your drinking water into an antioxidant-rich hydrogen bomb.
Dr. Edward Group, founder of Global Healing, began focusing on the root cause of disease or offering plant-based solutions back in 1998. Drawing from his diverse medical knowledge, he created Global Healing, a different kind of health and wellness company, one that focuses on changing lives by empowering individuals to live healthy with the commitment to put its customers' health first. Every month, Global Healing helps more than 3 million people around the world by providing scientifically backed health information and herbal supplements that go far beyond organic. Global Healing has grown to become an industry leader in natural and organic health, connecting millions of like-minded individuals looking to naturally improve their health and change their lives for the better. Dr. Group uses advanced new health technologies and will not compromise on any step of the creation process. Here is Dr. Edward Group.
For us, that's made by God. Then, of course, that rains down in the mountains and it goes in the springs and it picks up all kinds of inorganic minerals from the springs. Drinking and consuming too many inorganic minerals will slowly turn you to stone. And that's why spring water should be consumed only 10, 15, 20% of the time, and distilled water the rest of the time. Nature and God only produce distilled water. In fruits and vegetables, rain, dew, fog, those are all produced by nature and they're all distilled. So my rule is 80 to 90% of your consumption should be distilled water, 10%, 20% is spring water. The situation with distilled water is you can structure distilled water. You can use biophotonic systems, you can put geometrics underneath it, you can write the word love on it, you can think thoughts into distilled water and it will structure it. Distilled water is the only water that's healthy for us, that's made by God. Then, of course, that rains down in the mountains and it goes in the springs and it picks up all kinds of inorganic minerals from the springs. Drinking and consuming too many inorganic minerals will slowly turn you to stone. And that's why spring water should be consumed only 10, 15, 20% of the time, and distilled water the rest of the time.
Gina Bria is an anthropologist and the founder of the Hydration Foundation. At the Hydration Foundation, they consider it their job to research and the advancing the new science of water. In short, they say we became aware that water from pipes and bottles has been stripped of its capacity to conduct electricity. Gina Bria is recognized as a leading resource for hydration, science, and education. She launched the first Hydration Solution Summit with 30 physicians and scientists to document the urgency of hydration in today's dehydrating environments, and speaks often on new ways to hydrate besides liquid alone, by drinking a better kind of water. Hydration isn't just about drinking and pouring water in your body. Water requires movement to stay energized. The human body is a hydraulic pump system, and squeezing and twisting and contracting all deliver hydration more deeply into our tissues. Our spinal canal and joints are central to this hydraulic system, as is fascia, our sponge-like connective tissue found throughout our bodies. In fact, there's miles of it in there, along with a hidden irrigation system and a hidden electrical system. All living organisms store hydrogen in their tissues. Hydration is how you drink, eat, and move. And one of their famous sayings is, without water, minerals stay inactive. Without minerals, water is like a blank slate waiting for instructions. Here is Gina Bria.
Gina, I have a question. So what do you, and you're starting to answer my question more, but how do you view just the human body to become more hydrated? Like, is there a specific practice? Is it consuming a certain type of gel substance? Is it doing movement? Is it being outdoor? Because you touched into that, saying like, when we're inside, it's very dehydrated. And right now in my apartment, it's extremely dry and I can feel dehydration getting sucked out of my cells. It's pretty comical. And then I agree, like, it's so interesting because the combination of being hunched over in front of a computer and then just the EMFs coming from the computer, from the cell phone that we have on us almost 24/7. So you started answering the question there, but what other ways do you either teach or preach to become more hydrated?
Well, I can't wait to share those with you guys because they're really foundational. And and the way to get to that question, to really help blow it open for you, to help you understand it, is to I just want to give you a couple definitions around fascia, so it helps sort of land it for you, and then you sort of know where to go from that. And I'm sure many of you here listening have lots of experience with fascia, and you know what it is. I just want to sort of bring an additional addendum of what fascia is, so it really helps. Because when I am in fascial conversations with people, I don't hear it put this way. And one of the most important things I want to land for you is that fascia is the hidden whole body delivery system for hydration. This is our true hydrating channel, is the fascia, not our digestive tract, and then sort of some weird, like, vague osmosis that happens afterwards, but that nobody can really, can't find on a machine, on a screen anywhere. But fascia is it. It is our whole body irrigation system, and it works like drip irrigation. And in order for you to see this, we're going to put a link in this so you guys can find this afterwards. There's a glorious French hand surgeon who had the brilliant idea to put a micro camera under the skin when he did a surgery. And he had tourniqueted, this was in the hand, he had tourniqueted it so that there wasn't any blood. And what we normally saw as red when we did put cameras under the skin, we suddenly saw this entire spider web system, which we had never seen before. It's called a view of the living fascia. It's on YouTube. You can see a 25-second version of it, or you can see a 6-minute version of it, but go look at it, because the second you see this, you actually see the tubules carrying water droplets, and you're like, oh my God, I get it now. Fascia is the hidden irrigation system that does this, that brings the hydration to every single part of our system. Now remember that this inner webbing that surrounds everything and holds us together, we are literally packaged by fascia. This is where we are, the water being. It is our intelligent sensing system. It's passing information. It's receiving information, constantly organizing information. Like, okay, let's do 5 pulses over here. Let's send, corner B needs this. I mean, everything about how we process and move as intelligent beings has to do with this data transfer that's going on through the fascial system. So it makes it very exciting to think about what fascia really is. So it's delivering not only water, but electrical impulses, which of course is also our fuel. We're run on electricity. We really are electrical beings. All of that conducted by water. Everybody knows water conducts electricity, right? This is really what's the story now. And these electrical impulses are organizing and synchronizing this cell-to-cell signaling. And that's perhaps the most important work of fascia that people were not realizing. Now, the final mind-blowing thing that I want to share, besides the fact that fascia is a hydration system, it's our energy fuel system, and it's our information system, it's not only delivering that water, it is made of water. So the whole structure is not only delivering the liquid water and the cell signaling, but it's actually made of this plasma-like, gel-like, stretching, tensile reaction, collapsing, pulling. That is water. It's water in this gel plasma, incredibly malleable material. So now you can begin to see that the bones are just floating in that gel plasma, that all our organs are just, we're not, still thinking about fascia is that your bones carry you, and then the stuff is kind of plastered onto you, held onto you like saran wrap. Like your muscles are kind of, held onto you by the fascia. I want you to rethink that entirely now. It's the fascia first, right? And then our organs sit in that, and our bones sit in that. And that means you are a different quality of being than you thought. And that's why I want you to go. And you can look at the video that I suggested, or you can just pinch yourself and get that, I thought that was muscle. Well, it kind of is, but it's really tissue completely made of cells. And every single cell is like a little Ziploc baggie full of water. And they're all pushing each other around and communicating. They're having a grand time in there. But anyway, that's how I want you to think about fascia. So now let's talk about what the role of movement, or what the role of hydration has to do with all this, and how we get all that. So, we're coming from the standard discussion that it's 8 glasses a day. That's how you get hydrated. I want to get you way past that, because nature has many strategies to accomplish this, this shift from liquid into the plasma-like stage. And believe it or not, it begins, Quinn, you're going to love this, it begins with sunlight. Because who knew we were made to be in the sun? Like, that makes sense now, right? It makes sense because the sun does the electrical impulse work to shift our water inside of ourselves into this labor stage where now it's able to conduct all the signaling. So we're literally run by the sun.
This is just another big reason why I need to get out of Winnipeg during the winter.
Well, I'm going to give you some great strategies, right? Some great strategies. So because the human, dispersal means that many of us live in sunlight poor areas, which, by the way, is why humans were originally nomadic. They weren't chasing gazelles, they were chasing the sun. And of course, the gazelles were chasing the sun too, because mammals know what to do. So we have to understand the role of sunlight in our life. And therefore, if we understand it, we can prioritize it, and we can help ourselves realize we're not going to feel at our best or heal well or heal fast or actually achieve a new level of, what is it I'm trying to talk about? What's the new level? It's not optimal performance like as if we're athletes. It's optimal perception of everything that life has to offer us, and all the solutions and all the creative ideas, and the, to see yellow or to see purple and see how purple it really is. This is about the ability to receive the glory of life. Okay. So if you live in the North, you now can understand and activate all sorts of ways to use infrared in your life, because it's the infrared spectrum which is able to do the most work of turning on electrical impulses in your cell from the liquid phase to the gel phase. And all of that then runs how well your cells function. So I want to make a big case for, you can go on Amazon and buy a small ceramic lamp. I think they're like $50, $70. They're not expensive. And you have a little 15-minute session while you're reading a book or while you're, scrolling your phone. Although I'd love to help you recognize that, you want to have downtime away from that, because it's the opposite of sunlight. Okay. And the other really important way to get this electrical organization going in your cells is movement. And that's how we came together in this conversation. And I want to help people understand that when they hear movement, they hear exercise. I never use the word exercise. I know you guys are athletes, so you're going to be like, well, of course. But I'm trying to start with a menu for people who don't move very much or even are stuck in bed. I want to help them understand how little the movement has to be to start this energy charge, and then that grows. So if you are bedridden, even being able to just, I'm going to give you a couple simple, I want to explain why what matters so much. Maybe I'll just demonstrate it, and the demonstration will start. If you drop your chin to your chest and you raise your head back up, and you just do that maybe two or three more times, what you have just accomplished in terms of you as a liquid being is a complete synovial flush down your entire spinal canal. Keyword, this is a canal, right? So when you start moving the liquid fluid, it's a ripple effect, and it goes out to your entire system. So we're not talking about moving muscles to get, that activity out, but that's important too, and you're gonna have to find your own levels for that. We're talking about very simple, as a water being, I want you to think about yourself as a seal, floating in the ocean and just flapping a little bit, or the way the whales move through this fluid dynamic. That fluid dynamic that you're witnessing of a whale moving through beautiful ocean is literally also happening inside of you. It's the same kind of fluid dynamics, and you're washing yourself with new electrical impulses. When you move, and I know you guys know this about, the generation of electrons through movement, and this is, when you move, you're literally changing the kind of and the quality of water inside of you by electrical transfer. You're changing the quality of the water inside of you and making the water inside of you more effective at conducting information, conducting health, conducting energy. So movement makes, well, I like to call it hydration. It's just like who in the hydration conversation is even having the idea that this foundational is drinking, it's getting that movement, because that's the second half of the formula. So then in terms of how many glasses of water should I be drinking?
That's funny, because that's exactly, I'm like, so now what do you think?
Wait, what?
Only one glass?
It's first of all, 8 glasses a day is a prescription for I don't know who, because how tall are you, Quinn? How tall? I'm only 5'1". We're in different environments. You're in Canada, I'm here in San Francisco. Our activity levels are different. Our growth stages in our life. So babies are one kind of water, pregnant women are another kind of water. What we want to understand is, as liquid fluid beings, you want to start understanding when you're hydrated and what that feels like. And then you determine, not I got to guzzle 8 glasses a day to get to a determined end. It's I'm moving through my day as if I were a fish, and where am I going to seek some, hydration spaces in my life? So one of the most important shifts I can help you, going back to my desert research and using food to hydrate instead of liquid, is unbelievably smart strategy. So now we'll just talk about the fact that an apple we know it has water in there, right? It's probably 86% water. So first of all, that's a water bottle that nature has provided. So that apple not only is 86% water, but it's organized by nature that when you eat an apple, you're bringing in all the fibers, plus all, of course, the nutrition that right on that moment of eating it, that allows it, the fiber allows that water then to time release. So you've got a different system than guzzling liquid. And that system is really powerful, and it hydrates us beautifully as nature intended. And in addition, that apple, because of its contact with sunlight and with minerals in the ground, has a whole new level of it's at a state, you're getting that water, okay, I'm going to say it upstream, where it's already been electrified. And a bottle of water is not in that state at all. In fact, if you drink that bottle of water, now your body's got to go and do all the work to change it into this state that you would have gotten out of the apple if you'd just eaten the apple. So I'm very firm in being able to say that an apple is more hydrating than a bottle of water. Now, does that mean that I'm going to run you out and say, no liquid in your life, you don't need those? That's not true. You need a partnership there. But it's so smart to partner a bottle of water with an apple, because now you've got complete different quality of electrical exchange going on in that system. So eating a plant-added or a plant-high diet turns out to be really important for the hydration chain. So any way you can add fresh food into your life, whether you're drinking smoothies or I always have a smoothie every day, because I get a volume of nutrition in there that's amazing. And then I know my hydrating is going to be extended. If a smoothie versus a bottle of water or 2 bottles of water, we're talking like extending my hydration by 2/3. So very powerful. I'm also super fond of chia seeds. Chia seeds are one of the desert plants that I discovered in my research. And the Tarahumara who use them in the Sierra Nevada, is that the right place? I can't think right now. Doesn't matter. Chia seeds are way more widespread than they were when I started to study them. And I'm so happy, because in terms of a powerful hydrating food, and here's a great little trick about chia seed. I usually make it as a pudding, which means I just take a can of coconut milk and 5 tablespoons of chia seed, and I mix it so it doesn't get lumpy. I may dress it with some maple syrup or some honey or just some jam, or eat it straight up plain. And I usually have a little bit of that in the evening, because then I'm extremely well hydrated, but I don't have to get up and pee at night, because my liquid system is different. It's being very slowly released over time.
Brilliant. Mm-hmm.
So these are great strategies, especially for our elders who are maybe struggling with those sorts of issues. But if you're peeing more than every couple of hours, you're overhydrating, and that's a new conversation that we've had to have. Most people come with the underhydrated conversation. But other ways of knowing you're well hydrated is, are you crabby? Are things irritating you? Because if you're well hydrated, you're buoyant, and your system can just float over those things. They just don't, they don't impact us in the same way. So that's what I mean by checking into how you feel about your hydration, giving you some strategies like knowing you have to move. You move in small things if you can't move in large ways. It's a privilege to move. It's a joy to move. And we cast that whole movement concept into the exercise task that we have to check off without recognizing it. Just nodding your head is fun. Okay.
I love that. I have a question, because I'm sure many of our viewers are wondering this question. So what are let's say the top 3 foods, fruits, vegetables, chia seeds, that you would recommend? Not necessarily like this is like on a hierarchy scale,
right?
But what are the top 3 foods that you would recommend for viewers to start adding in for optimal hydration?
Okay, great question. Now I'm going to take it to sort of a way that gives you a menu, right? Instead of like, I got to go to the store and buy the watermelon. I got to go to the store and buy the cucumber. All vegetables are 86, 87, 90% water. Okay, so there's some variations, and I could get you to a cucumber versus a bell pepper, but come on. We're talking about volumes of electrified, purified, nutriized, I don't know if that's a word, but you know what I mean. It's all there, packaged by nature. It's glorious. A salad or any leafy green is 92 to 96% water. So a salad is literally more hydrating than a bottle of water. So I'm just trying to hand you this, like all fruits and vegetables are 86% or above. So anywhere you go and you look around those produce aisles, you are looking at, I like to say water isn't only blue, it's green. All of that is water. We are not in a water scarcity environment. We just didn't know how to think of water and where to find it. So getting yourself into a mushrooms, oh my gosh. Mushrooms are like the secret hydration system in the soil. Mycelium and fascia look exactly the same. If you get a close-up of them, you're not sure which one is which. but it's the same system because it's smart, it's intelligent. This is how nature does it. She doesn't do it on a grid. She does it on a spider network, and she just loves the unexpected connections and how things come together. And really, we can really rest in this. We're so much more intelligent and worthy of our own attention and enjoyment than we think we are, because we're too busy thinking of ourselves as breaking down instead of, just get that hydration up.
That's super cool. And would you recommend that we would eat the vegetables raw, steamed, slightly cooked?
Yes.
Just eat them. Just get them in your body.
Bring them in.
Beautiful.
Bring them in. They love you. And so, I hope I can just share one more part of this, which I spoke about the mushroom. And bring it in, whether you saute it, whether you eat it raw. Those things are made of water, right? I was saying how like a celery stick is obviously made of water. What we're missing is that that water is full of information. It's full of celery information. That celery has so much information to deliver to our system. So if you think about it now as an information exchange and you go, I want a big variety of information coming in. So when I talk about mushrooms, one of the things about mushrooms that is so important is that it's not a food we have been eating a lot in our culture for a long time. Mushrooms aren't part of our day like they would be in the East Asian culture, for example, or the Asian traditions. And if you think now, okay, what information, that mushroom is bringing in all this soil information, this astounding network of tree information, tree roots, everything is in that mushroom as a super conducted, super stored set of information that when we eat that mushroom, there's a whole other level. The concentration continues until you get even something like bone structure. So we really are made of water. We just aren't used to we think of it as liquid, and yet it can be as dense as cartilage. We definitely know that. And then maybe onto the bone structure, all muscles, all tissues. So if you just rethink yourself as a tissue being made of various forms of density of water, this is how I'm trying to help you think about yourself. And then how do you feed that kind of a being? Bringing in more of that gel-like water is very straightforward. So I talked about fruits and vegetables. If you do drink, coffee, tea, any of the liquid ingestments that you're making, add to your hydration. It doesn't have to be just straight up water. But if you are drinking just water, I really recommend that you add a little bit of sea salt, rock salt, a natural salt, just a pinch to your water, because that salt and water then start this electrical exchange. So now you are drinking a different kind of water. So if I can just be really blunt about this, don't ever drink a naked glass of water again. Do something to it. Squeeze a lemon in it. Throw some salt in it. Swirl it with a celery stick. Whatever, you want to get that conversation going. And then that electrical chain going, because the way we treat water out of our tap and the way we get water from the bottled water industry means that all that electricity is basically just left, and we need to re-electrify it.
What's your thoughts on natural spring water?
Oh, love it. I mean, Nature. Thank you, nature.
Yeah,
what has it done? I mean, the way that the electricity gets shared, one of the ways is mineral contact. So, of course, right? Like the battery, water touches a mineral. It's like, hi, what you doing? I have more energy. What do you want?
So if you're drinking like local spring water, which Quinn and I both do,
yes.
Is it as necessary to add something to that, or
No.
is that water a little different then?
It's not necessary, but it's fun.
But does the spring water, it's electrified differently?
It is electrified. It is electrified. And then our job is to think in terms of, how can we add a little bit more? So, a spring water life or coffee or tea made out of spring water, all of that matters. All of those things matter. If you're using spring water in your smoothie now, all the plant material and the spring water, you're out there playing now that you have these concepts. It's a lot more fun. And you have a lot more vitality and I really, and I do want to return to the conversation around movement. And because, you think about these little Ziploc bags that are our cell full of water, as we're massaging those, that piezoelectricity is starting too. So you are making your water more electrified by movement and massage. And of course, in the Qigong tradition or Asian traditions, they were massaging themselves all day long. They would be, it's just part of the story of how you live your life, moving your shoulders back. And also, I want to get to the conversation on block therapy because I think it's really brilliant. I think the idea that we can move our fascia, we can use gravity to allow our fascia to lay over things or lay on things, is a way of healing it's an obvious release. It's a way of healing ourselves that we hadn't thought of before. And because we are so scrunched up as moderns, if we could just find ways and get help. And the fact that it's made of cedar and that cedar itself has the information in it. This information doesn't go anywhere just because we cut a tree down, It's always in various forms. Material reality is present as information to us. And touching a cedar block, laying on a cedar block, finding places to put it, to partner with it. And you're basically doing a slow dance.
We use bamboo now. We were using cedar, but we wanted to preserve the cedar tree. So we're using bamboo now. Excellent. Grass, again, from nature, which of course is the key. Mm-hmm. And what's lovely and what I just love about like this whole conversation around movement is, one of the things that also makes this unique is that you do it in bed. I'm not an athlete. I used to be an athlete in my younger years, and that's when I had pain and I had, I was riddled with injury and all of those things. I'm a lazy individual that has a very high capacity for a lot of strength because I treat my body more in a restorative way. So when I'm blocking, I block in bed and I hang out on the block, and the movements are really slow. And then I teach people the art of fluid isometrics as well, which is really just, and I'm constantly, doing that to my own body, massaging my own body. I mean, we're on meetings and I'll be like working on my chin, just having my hand flowing around. And so, again, it's so lovely. I'm so grateful that you came on and you shared all of your information, because it's just really hitting home with a different perspective on this whole topic that we also share in block therapy and fully agree with. And because we're seeing that, but to again have a different perspective is really powerful. And the conversation around the foods as well. I mean, Quinn and I have been really diving into this as well. And it's lovely. I mean, I don't eat like hard food anymore, hardly. It's the smoothies and they're filling and they're satisfying and they're lovely. And you do feel completely different when you feed your body with those beautiful nutrients and you do feel hydrated without having to drink a lot of water. So I love that. And we do, of course, have the spring water. So I think, Quinn, we're doing a lot of the right things.
I think you are, and it shows. It shows. It really does.
We've improved significantly in the past 6 months to a year. So
yeah, awesome. Well, two more thoughts. One on why blending and making smoothies is a brilliant modern strategy to counter-effect the modern dehydrating environment we live in, because you are putting in so much volume of fresh food in that smoothie. You would never be able to chew through that.
Right. Yeah.
You just aren't going to get to that volume of health, vitality, and information without. And
then all
blender.
Of the different things you can put in one to get all those different informations inside you. Yeah.
Right. So as an anthropologist, I really recommend blending because it is a modern strategy to counteract the effects of the other modern things in our life. And it's a very smart strategy. And it doesn't mean that's all you eat. You just add it. Just add it to whatever else you're doing. I don't want to hear about, if you're eating a pizza, for heaven's sakes, somewhere, have a salad with that. Eat an apple afterwards. You're doing compensatory thinking now that you know what a fluid being you are. So you're not trying to get to the one diet and the right amount of water. You're trying to be like, I can flow through anything. Man, I'm going to have my son's retirement party, and he wants to serve steak. I'm definitely enjoying that with him. And then and I may have a champagne too.
You've never seen a pillow like this before. Have you heard about Dorilla Ergo? It's the cutting-edge ergonomic pillow that people actually look forward to.
I do too. And I'm going to compensate for that because I now recognize I'm living this very fluid life, and the call and response. And then one more thought on the block, which I think is really important to mention, is because you are a fluid being, you're a 360, you're a three-dimensional being, we're not getting that fluid movement to certain parts of our body. And you really want to, the best way to say this is we need novel movement in your life. You need to find places you don't normally move and get some movement in there or get some touch in there, put the block there so that you get fluid back into that place in your body. Because it's like brushing your teeth. You can just brush the front of your teeth, but that isn't going to help the problem. Right. You really want to get yourself into as much fluid movement as you can. And so the goal as a fluid being is not how many miles have I run. It's how well have I moved my body through its day. And that's really the trick there. And that's why I really love these modern strategies like blenders and blocks that just allow us to get to places we can't without a little assistance.
Exactly. Oh, Gina, thank you so much.
Yeah. This has been a long conversation.
No, it's been a fantastic conversation. Our viewers are going to absolutely love this. Everyone's going to be buying blenders. And that's a great thing. So we will put all of your information below so people can find you.
Thank you. I'm so delighted. And thank you again, everyone.
Now, a grapefruit is a good example of fascia because once we get in here, what is all this stuff? Now, when I did my gross anatomy lab, which involves a full dissection, I had the first lab. Oh, look at that. We've got a little bit of trouble with our grapefruit here. But if you notice, the structure of a grapefruit, starting from the outer skin, is very much lined with some connective tissue. If you were to think of the grapefruit then, and every cell being contained inside the grapefruit in this way, every container represents a different stage of the fascia of the grapefruit. So these are analogous to epidermis and dermis and the underlying fascia that would be underneath there, as well as structures like muscles.
Now, these images were recorded of the living human fascia. This shape represents the kind of three-dimensional structure. As you can see deeply into the fascia, this is Strolling Under the Skin by Dr. Jean-Claude Guimbarteau. When you see the behavior of the fascia under some pressure, you start to understand how it is moving. Watch as the fascia, tendrils of the fascia move. Imagine elasticity, surface tension, flow, and movement. The shape of these quadrahedrons are multi-layered. Look at this, amazing. The elasticity is the first component. Obviously it can move and stretch, but also notice how the fibrils can move along another fibril. Its cross-linking is partly normal and partly abnormal, but you'll see this free flow. Look at this. See the way that a tubule of myofascia moves in this rendering. Now watch as you see the tendril move along another. Now think of a membrane spreading and splitting. Observe how it separates and how it can actually rejoin later on. The splitting is what we think of as the myofascial release. This amazing lattice here in this computer depiction, how it is all enmeshed and entwined in a fractal chaos. And here, the rendering of two tubules separating, for instance. See how the fascia is in constant motion, responding to our every movement, allowing every flexibility of the tissues, movement of muscles, movement of the body, joints, everything articulating and allowing this free movement. Watch again as it separates. Now, there is this conduction, this idea of the tubule as it conducts water. See this? As the water passes through a tubule of myofascia. Amazing. This is just to give you an idea of how the body, in constant motion, is responding to the myofascial release as performed by a therapist as they help you to release this cross-linking. Look at this area of densely packed fascia. This is the structure of life. Microvacuoles, pressure changes, areas, pockets of fluid. Amazing how much we are water, how much we are space in this free movement of a human being. This is life at its very core. The spreading, releasing, rejoining. Unbelievable. But this is the core. Thank you so much.
Let's take time now to connect. Here's some food for thought. Now that you know water's secret, what will you do with it? Were you inspired to eat your water by bringing more life to your life? Since knowledge is empowering, you can learn more by visiting my Genesis Health blog on the Coloring Yourself Beautiful series. You will find that there are nutrients in the colors as well that bring benefit to you. You will also find more facts about the benefits of each fruit and vegetable under the Nutrition Nuggets tab. Enhance your meals by including a wider variety of colorful, nutrient-rich foods each day for a brighter you. Begin recharging your internal battery today. I'd like to close with this verse, Deuteronomy 30, verse 19. I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, that both thou and thy seed may live. Until next time, live your best life now. Choose life and blessing today, and live free and to the fullest for His glory.